Welcome back to True Blue. What a night at the Marriott Center on Saturday. Brandon Davies set the tone early with that monster dunk. Freshman guard Matt Carlino wowed the crowd with 18 points in his BYU debut. But Baylor's three-point shooting, including 6 from Brady Heslop, was the big difference in the game. Cougars hung tough and had a shot to force overtime, but Davies is denied here on the final play. Baylor hangs on 86-83 in one of the most exciting games the Marriott Center has seen in years. And we welcome in BYUtv basketball analyst Steve Cleveland to True Blue. What'd you think of that game?
Oh, it was a great ball game to watch. That was my exact thought. One of the greatest games ever played in that arena, and BYU had a wonderful opportunity to win that ball game.
Fans left disappointed, but certainly not disappointed about what they saw.
No, I think Coach Rose, his staff had that team ready to play, and I think that from every young man that stepped on that floor gave everything they had. The execution inside in terms of post defense was phenomenal. You took a look at Brandon Davies. Wow, they played behind him. He made him pay for it and scored at will. And certainly we're going to talk a little bit about Carlino, what kind of confidence and composure that he had in terms of knocking shots down, making big plays throughout the game.
Carlino has the Cougar Nation abuzz with his 18 points, but I was mostly impressed with his confidence in his first game since high school.
Wow, he had so much confidence, but you know, it surprised me that he would go for 18 against a team like Baylor, 22,000 people, but I've watched him probably practice 15 times. And he plays that same. That little signature shot right there, that little pull-up and create space is one of his favorite shots. And here again, he's shooting over 6'7" AC, dropping a dime over the three there. I mean, that's an incredible shot. But I love watching him practice. You know, he's not trying to be Jimmer Fredette.
Right.
What he's trying to be is the point guard for this basketball team, a team that is very talented. And it's not going to be about Matt Carlino. It's going to be about getting the ball to Brandon, getting the ball to Noah Hartsock, and then as they converge, we've got another shooter on the perimeter.
First time we saw true fire out of Brandon Davies this season as he came out, and Baylor featured 2 projected first-round picks in the upcoming NBA draft. So he had his challenge in front of him, and boy, did he play.
Well, you know, and I think a lot of his success was due to the fact that I was surprised, to be honest with you, that that Baylor just kind of sagged back. They didn't double him. They let him get very, very deep post touches, and he was just aggressive. And that's a monster dunk against maybe the best front line in America.
Right.
But they're long. But you know what Baylor isn't is they're not thick, wide body types. They're slender, they're long, they're athletic. They're certainly a great shot blocking team. But Brandon Davies used them the entire night, and in fact, probably got away from it a little bit when they were having the most success.
Why doesn't he do that every single night?
Well, number one, I think a lot of it has to do with the defenses that are being played.
Yeah.
And if you're going to come and double them, that is very frustrating, very difficult for a young man to constantly being doubled. Most of the games that they've played behind, he's been successful. So I think the thing he has to do is, even when he's being doubled, post, kick back out, and repost, get deep touches, because he's got a nice soft touch. And we talk a lot about Baylor, but Brandon Davies is pretty doggone athletic himself.
Every now and then we see a player come along, as you see the final score there, that's just a little bit better than everybody else. And Perry Jones III showed us Saturday that he's a lottery pick in the making, and he can play hurt, he can hit from the outside, he can rebound. If you had a chance to coach this guy, he's got to be a coach's dream.
Well, he is, and he's an NBA player right now. And the fact that he can stretch a defense with a 3, that he can hit a mid-range shot, that he can put it on the floor and pull up, those are the things that he's going to be doing next year and making a lot more money than he is at Baylor. But I think it was interesting as I kind of previewed this game, and I thought this game would be all about the bigs. And certainly Perry Jones III did not disappoint, and neither did Brandon Davies. But the thing that probably surprised us the most was the fact that even though he was able to hit a 3 and score inside, 13 threes in the Marriott Center doesn't happen very often.
Right.
But at the end of the game, it was decided in the paint with a missed shot rebound that Perry Jones really won the game with.
Now the question for Dave Rose and the Cougars is, tomorrow night Buffalo comes into the Marriott Center. It's not going to be sold out. They're not ranked number 6 in the country. So how do you get your team ready to bounce back from Saturday? The
first thing that I think Coach Rose said to this team was, guys, that game's over. We've got 2 big-time ball games. Let's not overlook Baylor. Let's not overlook Buffalo.
Right.
And I think that if you overlook them and you don't have that kind of maturity, I don't think this coaching staff's going to let them overlook. And I'll tell you what, Santa Barbara, they're the real deal. 2 overtime losses, 1 to San Diego State, 1 to UNLV. I really like this team. Coach Williams happens to be a very good personal friend. Orlando Johnson is he's a first-round draft pick. He's going to come in here and make baskets. They are certainly really difficult to beat at home. It'll be interesting to see if they can come in and make perimeter shots because they don't really have a post presence. That's not the strength of Santa Barbara, but they play a very, very difficult matchup zone. They're going to be prepared. They've got a tough week. They've gone to Washington. Now they're going to be at Cal tonight, and then they're going to come in and play the Cougs on Thursday. So that's a tough 3-game stretch on the road.
Let's go back to Matt Carlino for a final thought. How does he approach his next few games, and how do Cougar fans embrace this guy?
Well, I think they've already embraced him. I think you got a young man that he's the point guard. I don't think he needs to try to do too much. I think the one thing I like about Matt, and as I've watched, he'll get the ball where it needs to be. You and I talked about this earlier. He early ups the ball. When he gets that ball, he doesn't have to take 6 dribbles. He takes it, pushes it up, and I think Abuo and Zylstra and everyone else that's going to get early looks needs to get their feet squared and ready to shoot the ball because Matt Carlino will push the ball up the floor.
All right, look forward to seeing it tomorrow night. Thanks, Coach.
You bet.